how do you set boundaries with family members that are not believers? This is a real issue with a lot of people because they have different faiths. Sometimes some people have faith and their family members don't have it at all. So
Right.
what do we need to do to deal with family members that aren't believers and they've got a different set of maybe morals or standards than a believer would have? So how do we deal with that? What do you think, Rob?
Well, you need to be respectful when you're talking to them. You don't need to talk to them like they're bad people, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And when you talk to them, share. Don't point.
Yeah,
Do this.
don't
you know?
judge and-
Right. Got to
Yeah.
be respectful.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard somebody say one time, said you will never argue anyone into heaven. I think that's so
And you
true.
can't argue. That's the thing. You really cannot argue.
Yeah.
You need to be kind.
Yeah. So being kind to them, with the ultimate goal being that maybe one day God will open the door for you to share Christ with them, and maybe they will become believers. That may not ever happen, but at least you can position yourself for it to happen. One way to guarantee it will never happen is to debate, fight, argue.
Yes, that's right. Why
demean.
would they want to know Jesus if
Yeah.
that's how you act?
Yeah. So I think if you're in a situation with family members that aren't believers, one of the things you have to do is define your boundaries, and whatever those boundaries might be. Yeah, if you would imagine yourself in a situation like that, and of course you're a preacher's daughter and raised in a Christian home and all that, so you've been around Christians your whole life, but can you imagine for a moment how would you deal with someone who is a non-believer, has a different set of morals and standards than you have? What would you do when setting a boundary with them?
Well, where are we at? When I'm with them, where are we, or what's the situation?
It doesn't matter. Maybe just visiting your house or visiting your home, or maybe you're out socially somewhere doing something together.
Well, I just share what Jesus would have us do. You know, if they talk about, I don't know, going drinking or whatever, to take a drink, that would be fine, but not for me, because that's what Jesus has told me. I don't want to do that. Their morals, we know what Jesus says on that, and I would share what the Bible says, but I wouldn't condemn them. I would just say, Jesus, when you have Jesus in your heart, you don't want to do those things anymore. That's because.
But you'd only share that with them if the door was open. Maybe,
the door
maybe they
was
ask the
open.
question
Right.
like,
Right.
why aren't you having a drink with us?
Right. Well, and I've been invited to things, as a teenager even, invited, and I would just tell them I can't go. I can't go because, I'm a Christian. I can't go. And those are my friends from school. And they understood. They asked me anyway, but they understood,
Yeah. I think they respect you for that, actually, because it may not be what they would do,
Right.
but I think they respect you for sticking to your guns and having standards and
Right.
morals. I do.
Right.
You have to be consistent. I know that.
Right.
You can't say one thing one time and something else entirely different the next time. You got to be consistent in however you talk to them and what you share with them. If they
Right.
pick up on inconsistency in
Right.
your speech, then your testimony is pretty much going to be wrecked at that point.
Right. But you can't condemn. That's the thing. You have to do it with love. You cannot be condemning, and you can't be judgmental.
Yeah. Sorry about the barking in the background. That is our dog, and apparently
Yeah.
he wants to be on the podcast. So sorry about that. Maybe you'll hush up a minute. So you're going to be consistent. And then here's something that concerning boundaries. You can love without compromise on the things that you're strictly convicted as a believer that you must hold to these standards. But some people have difficulty with that. Is like, if I hang around these people, then I'm compromising my own faith. But you could still have boundaries, and they can still know that you love them,
Right.
even though you're not in agreement with them.
Right.
Okay, that's a hard thing. Yeah, that's a hard thing for me personally. Because when you have someone that's doing something that is unbiblical and it's wrong, it's not the right thing to do. It's a hard thing to be around them, because you know that they're living a life that the Lord would frown upon. So, but they still need to hear from you that you love them. And so there are rules for dealing with non-Christian family and friends, and you already hit one of them. Don't argue.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. debating, fussing, arguing is only going to make the situation worse. So don't argue with them. Try to figure out ways to get around that argument. I think the second thing is you've got to learn to love them more. And that is difficult as well. It's just sometimes it's difficult to love. It really is. So you can't argue with them. You got to love them more than perhaps you ever have before.
And they need to know that. And you can't be fake. That's the thing. You cannot be fake. They
Yeah.
know if you're genuine and you really mean it, or you're being fake. Don't
Yep.
be fake.
Yeah. And then being willing to pray and make sacrifices, because you may not always get to do what you want to do as a believer,
Right.
but you've got to be willing to make sacrifices for the person that you love and that you would love to see them come to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior. And just praying for them. Because sometimes we try to get things accomplished in our own strength, our own power, and it's never going to work.
No.
I've tried it. You probably have as well. You just have to turn it over to the Lord and let the Lord deal with it, because there are a lot of things in life you just can't fix. And unbelieving family members is one of those things you can't fix.
And it has to be God and only God.
Only God can do that. And then you're showing them Jesus in your own life. And so hopefully that is salt and light.
Right.
They're attracted to that. And then here's the thing that none of us like. We have to learn to be patient with our family members and friends who do not know Christ. And sometimes that is difficult. But the problem we have is we just don't give God time to do work.
Right.
And sometimes we think, well, God's not at work at all. And the truth is, He's orchestrating
Yes.
everything behind the
Yeah, but
scenes.
it's like, Lord, I'll help you here.
Right. Yeah, I want to help
I'll
Him
help
along.
you if you need it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Can I go back to the show the joy of Jesus in your own life? Christians, or if you're members of Spring Baptist Church, if you don't smile, don't tell them. Don't tell them where you come from,
Yeah.
please, because if you don't show them joy, why would they want it?
Yeah.
If you don't show that Jesus makes a difference in your life, why in the world would they want to have Jesus? They would not. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I know that Forrest Frank was at the rodeo Sunday, and he shared the video with his grandpa, Neil Frank, and saying how he set out to prove there was no God, and 24 hours later, he couldn't prove it, and he got saved. And he has spread the word everywhere throughout well, he was our weatherman, but he was on the Billy Graham crusade, and look how that's trickled down to Forrest Frank, and how many he ministered to.
tell everybody who Forrest Frank is. They may not know.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, he is a wonderful singer. He's a songwriter, everything, and he was at the rodeo and had so many more than most people bring in. And they said just people were up praising Jesus, and just an incredible revival at the 2:45 session at the rodeo. So, and he just kept telling people how to be saved, and it all started, he said, with blessings from his grandpa. Wouldn't you want to be able to do that? To be able to say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it started with you?
Yeah.
Jesus let you be a part of it? You know, I know his grandpa died a few months ago. But he said he knows he's in heaven.
Yeah, that's right.
He knows he's in heaven, and looking down here and seeing all the work and how many people are influenced. So what can we do to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the joy that was all over that place.
Somebody was patient with him at one time, and he came to know Christ. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Just remember to trust God and trust that He is orchestrating things that we don't know about, we can't
Right.
see. And He's going to put everything in order. And then prayerfully, He'll give you what's called a divine appointment. And that means it's an opportunity for you to share your faith with them because they're ready to listen. I remember there was a guy that built the auditorium at Rancho Village Baptist Church. His name was Ed Short. And ironically, he was short. Do you remember him?
Yeah,
He was
I
a
do.
pretty short guy.
Yeah.
And he had people from Rancho Village come visit him 80 some odd times. He counted them, actually 80 some odd times. And it was like the 89th time he came to church and he met Christ. And that was over a period of years and years and years. And then he wound up being the guy that built the auditorium there. So what a wonderful thing. God's great. He really is. So trust Him, love your family members, be a great example, put that smile on your face like Robin said, and God's going to do great things. We love you. Thanks for joining the Ask Dr. E Show.